What's going on, everybody? My name is Tyson Smith. If you don't know me, I've been wholesaling for the past 4 years. I've made several $1,000,000 in assignment fees, and today we're going to be talking about the exact strategies you can implement in your business to go make over $100,000 using direct mail. Right now is the perfect time to get started in direct mail. While everybody else is flocking to digital ads and seeing increased pay-per-click and cost per clicks and things like that, you can take advantage of a strategy that has worked time and time again and that is still costing the same price and even cheaper now with BatchLeads. We're going to show you the exact direct mail strategy you can use as far as what templates to send, when to send them, and exactly who to send them to. So make sure that you guys are listening and taking notes because we're about to go into all of that right now. And if you're not already a BatchLeads customer, use code Tyson to get 50% off your first month and 1,000 free leads. When you guys go on Instagram or you guys go on Facebook, you probably cannot stop seeing people talk about digital ads, this, Facebook ads, this, that, whatever, all these new things that people are doing in wholesaling. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, while everybody's over there, direct mail is absolutely crushing, okay? This is a strategy that you will notice has always done really well, but the more people are moving to these other things, investors are seeing higher and higher ROAS, which means return on ad spend, which means for every dollar they're putting into a marketing strategy like direct mail, they're getting way more back. So this is something you guys definitely want to take advantage of, especially right now. And the new tools that Batch has for sending out direct mail are not only going to get you way better results, but they've made it so much easier too. So I'm really excited for me and Landry to go through, show you exactly what these new tools can do for you and exactly how to use them. And I'm even going to go through and show you exactly what lists I would send out my direct mail campaigns to using, what I know about direct mail and the strategies that have worked for me.
Super
So really
excited.
excited about that. Yeah. Chait, what's up? From Jacksonville, one of the best markets ever. We love you out there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and make sure you guys are posting it to everybody. Good to see you, Shati. And who else we have? Feel free to put in the chat, guys, your markets that you're in. If you're sending out direct mail currently, would be great. And we'll jump into it here. Eileen is here. Oh, Tanya's also in Jacksonville. Love it. Cool. Well, let's get right into it, guys. I'm just going to share first off some of these updates. Let me share my screen here. Just a heads up, this is being recorded and you guys will all get a copy sent to your email at the end of it. I hope that you guys will share any questions that come up. Tyson is here to answer those for you guys, and that's what we're here for. So let me go ahead and share this. Okay, cool. For the most part, everybody that I'm seeing in the chat anyway should have BatchLeads. If you don't already, you guys should check it out. And we can always let you guys know with a link or a link that you guys could click on at the end or a little bit later in today's webinar. But just to kind of show you some of these updates, we'll go into how this all works and how to actually initiate these campaigns as we go through today's webinar as well. But basically, within BatchLeads, so how you're going to get here, if you guys haven't played around with direct mail yet, you have to set it up first, which is why we're going to talk about these updates and kind of go through some of the setup options and then go into pulling that list for you guys today as well. But when I go to my initials in the top right-hand corner and then go to my profile, this will take you to your settings. And then from there, you have your direct mail set up. So if you've used it in the past, we have kept all of the old postcards and letters and things like that that were available to edit, but we've added some really cool options, and then you can actually create your own templates. So I've talked to a ton of you guys within the community that have been wanting to make something super specific that we just didn't offer in the past. So basically how this works is you always have to set up your signature first. Let me know if you guys have questions about that. I don't want to spend a ton of time here, but you're basically just adding like your return address, your email, your phone number, all that good stuff, all of the things you want people to see when they receive your postcard and letter. And these are physical postcards and pieces of mail, by the way, that are getting printed out and sent out for you guys. So basically, let's just open up I'm going to open up this lawn care one. A lot of the time people will see these different templates and assume that they can't use that one because it doesn't have probably none of you guys are offering lawn care and reaching out to people, but you can edit all of the things on there and make it your own and just take from the style of it. So this is a brand new one. And before, I'm just going to click on this pencil icon right here to edit the the template, but we've added a ton of options and allow you to actually, take up the whole page with a photo. You can do these layering things with on your page to make it a lot different than some of those really basic postcards that we have that are just a couple of boxes on the page. But essentially, you can come in here and edit all of the text. You have all of your different options at the top, changing the positioning, taking things off of the page. Like, for example, let's just say that I came in here and I was like, I really like this design, but there's no way I'm going to send that really pristine house out to my list. I could come in here, click on the picture, and then click this delete or trash can icon. And I could replace it with, if I click on insert item, with like the Google Street image. So I could come in here and start editing things super specifically, making your postcard your own, but then doing something that, is way different than what we had on the, already set up postcard. So this, of course, it's gray because you're going to be sending it out to multiple people and the photo is not going to generate until it's sent out to that address. But I could essentially outline or make this a little bit larger and kind of just copy those or copy that design that was there before. And then there's other options up here that you'll really want to take the time. If you guys have been to any webinars with me, I always encourage you to click on the buttons because there's something hiding, I feel like, all the time within BatchLeads, and there's so much and so deep you can get with it. But like right here, there's a layering. I've been using this a lot when creating postcards because I can bring this to the back or send it to the back. So now it's layering things for me and I can have my text on top of that picture. So just like that previous setup where that picture was in the back of that nice property, I could do the same thing, but have the Google Street image there instead. And then as you're clicking all of the text in here, you're basically going to have some of those same options that we had previously, like the text color, font style, all that good stuff as well. But pretty cool stuff. I don't know what your thoughts are, Tyson, in terms of what do you usually like to include when you're sending out postcards? Like, do you make sure that it's the Google Street image? What do you not include? What do you like to say on here? We can go into a couple different examples too, but what are your kind of thoughts when you're sending out or creating a postcard or letter?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing I want to say, guys, is the fact that you can come in and add the Google Street View photo. So if you guys aren't sure, just to clarify, that little button that she just pressed is going to, for every single property that you send it out to, it's going to replace it with the Google Street View of their actual home. Okay. This is going to make them so much more likely to give you a call, and it's going to add such a different personal touch where they genuinely feel like, oh, they're interested in my home, not just all of these other ones. They're not just, you know, throwing some at the wall and seeing what sticks. So that is a really cool feature to use. When it does come to the templates, though, I don't want you guys to get stuck in analysis paralysis about this. Here's what I'm going to tell you. When it comes to direct mail or really any marketing channel, trial and error is your best friend, okay? And different markets are going to respond differently when it comes to different templates. So is what I urge you to do is try different ones. I have seen in my experience some templates, some things we've used. So if you want to go back to the templates there, Landry, so see that yellow one that says urgent notice?
Mm-hmm.
I've used a very similar template to this, and it worked very well for us for a long time. Look at this. This thing, I mean, for me personally, I'm looking at this, I'm like, this looks terrible. If I get this, I don't want anything to do with that. But guess what? We got results from it, and a lot of people ended up giving us a call. And then eventually it started to taper down. And then we just started trying a different creative. So when it does come to direct mail, give all of these a shot. And one thing that we'll get into a little bit more when I show you actually what list I would pull to do direct mail, I'm going to explain to you that you're going to want to send the same people direct mail for as long as you honestly can. Because it's not like, just because they get something from you the first time doesn't mean they're going to give you a call back. But all of a sudden, if it's been a second and a third time, direct mail has sort of an exponential benefit where the more you send it to the same list month after month, you start to get a better return from it. You'll start to get more calls coming in. And with that being said, you don't need to send them the same creative every single time. So something I would like to do is, and we'll get into this again when I actually talk about the campaign, is maybe one month you try out this yellow postcard, and then the next month you try out a Google Street View, and then the next month you can try out one of the other, all excellent templates. And then you're going to keep track of, okay, well, how many calls did we get from this? How many calls did we get in for
Mm-hmm.
this? And based on that is how you're going to make decisions, right? If you see that one thing, maybe this super simple kind of template is working best for you, then you're going to want to continue to use super simple templates. But, and I can't stress this enough, it is going to vary market to market. So it's not like I can just tell you, hey, because I haven't done direct mail in every single market. It's not like I can tell you, oh, this template is what's going to work the best. We've had some markets where, this right here, this very simple thing works well. We've had other markets where we definitely want the Google Street View. We want the super professional looking photos. And that is what people respond well to. It's just going to depend. And it's just something you're going to want to try out for yourself. But no matter what you do, just doing this and sending somebody out a physical piece, of paper to their mail is going to give you an excellent shot at being the person that they call when they do want to sell.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I mean, I think anybody here on the webinar can think of a time that they kept receiving the same mail every single month. I think I, for a really long time, was getting the same letter about window replacements. Eventually, I did call and I regretted it, but I did eventually call. So it's like I think that is a really true thing with mail is that you're trying different things. The most important thing is that you're taking the action. You send out one postcard to see what you can get and kind of try different things along the way. I like what you said too, Tyson, about like maybe because you guys can set up drip campaigns in here too. So let's say that you had like one of these lists that we pulled today and you have it outlined for like the next 5, 6 months kind of thing, where that same list of people are getting different postcards from you. You could try it out. If you know that one postcard works really well for you, then great. But like Tyson was saying, you could try different ones, month over month and kind of see what results you're getting back from those and then tracking it. So I think that's the key that a lot of people are missing is then keeping track of what's working, what's not working, what list am I getting good responses on, all that good stuff. So super important. And by the way, I saw this question, Chrissy, on some of the newer ones, the area to find, because there's some different spots that you'll find the option to add a photo. So like, for example, on like this lawn care one, you'll see that some of the buttons look different than some of our old previous templates that we've had before. So like up at the top, insert item, there's an area for image, custom upload. This could be like your own picture. I've done that on a couple different postcards I've created in here. Excuse me. And then Google Street Images right here. And then you guys can also add additional text boxes. You couldn't do that before either. So you could do something really specific as well. And then on some of the older ones, Chrissy, if you do like some of these previous ones that are a little bit more near the bottom, there's just going to be another area. It's a lot smaller, but it's an image source button right here. And then you can decide if you want it to be a custom upload, Google Street Image, or even a QR code on some of those older ones. So hopefully that helps. Before we leave creating these campaigns, by the way, guys, I did just want to share this right here. I'd love for you guys to give it a try and, let us know how it goes in creating your own custom one, because I have been hearing that for a really long time from people that are leveraging direct mail to be able to create something from scratch and they don't want to use some of the ones that are pre-built. Like maybe you guys are using, I've talked to a lot of people that have started out using a different source. And then when they moved over to BatchLeads, they wanted to be able to create that same campaign or that same template and they kind of couldn't. So if you guys go into the create new template, this is one of the coolest new features is that you can go to a completely blank postcard or letter, especially with letter, because you couldn't completely customize that before. So you guys can do that for letters. Just to show you with the postcards, remember that you don't have to do these layouts either. So if you're like, I want the photo over here, or I don't want this text box here, remember you have that little trash can icon. Maybe you don't want any text in the middle. You can take that off too and make the photo larger. You just couldn't do that before, where you could, like, maybe I just want my template to be something like, a quick title at the top, and we can talk more about what you guys might want to put on here and different ideas. But you can make that completely your own from scratch now. Or if you wanted to, whatever the case is, play around with these and take the time to click on things. Like, for example, another little thing that we added in here is, of course, we've always had the background color, but now they have some preset ones. So you don't have to like go around and figure something out. It just makes it a lot easier. I'm just going to grab a green color here. And then if you grab one of these boxes that are here, there's a fill button. This is a little paint can option, and you can fill in boxes a different color. So I know some of this stuff, like as I'm talking about, it seems trivial, but it helps you have a different postcard than every single person out there sending direct mail. And if there is something that's working well for you in a different site that you've been sending direct mail through, and you want to kind of start using and leveraging batch leads, it now allows you to create, something that's going to be more fitting to what you want to do. So just to give you guys an idea on some of those templates is pretty cool. And we can kind of talk about some different things that you might want to say in here. But here's some other options in here I just added. I know that I was talking to somebody recently. They like to reach out to properties that are coming up on their auction date soon. And they like to send out a postcard with clocks on it, like time is running out kind of thing. So you guys can make those and add your own photos too. If you're like, maybe this month, I'm going to send it out with a custom image. And then, like Tyson was saying, maybe the next month you try it with their property and see what works better. But really take the time in here to explore all of the different options so that you guys can create those custom postcards. Make sure you create your signature first, just all of your name, all of your personal information. Then you can create the templates, save it, and then you can create the campaigns, which we're going to go into here shortly after Tyson pulls the list. But let us know if you guys have questions about this. We'll go into a Q&A a little bit later. But anything
So
else?
I do want to say when it comes to writing the content in here, when it comes to the actual copy that you're putting on the page, what you really want to think about is put yourself in the person that you're sending your ideal customer, like the ideal person that you want to get this postcard. You want to put yourself in their shoes and think about what they're going to respond to. So for instance, let's say that we are going to be sending a list to inherited properties. So that's something that we'll show you in a second is how we're going to do that. But let's say that that's what we've decided to do. And we're like, all right, we're going to send out a postcard, a campaign to inherited property. So people who just inherited a property, from a relative that deceased or something like that. We want to put ourselves in their shoes and we want to write directly to that person. Okay. The more specific we can be and the more that we can feel like we're talking to them specifically, the better response you're going to get. So when it comes to writing in some of these, like you can say things exactly like, inherited a house you don't want, like that could be a great headline. Or if we're sending to pre-foreclosures, right, we could send something like, there are other options, something like that, something that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna they if I was in that situation, what would I want to see? What's going to make me feel better? What's going to make me feel like, hey, this company can help me out? And if you start to think from their position, you're going to get really great results when it comes to these postcards.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. Like, of course, you guys can use the ones that are already built and have the verbiage, but I think if you think about if you were that person, like what would you want to receive, and what would make you more willing to reach out to somebody that's inquiring about your property? Type deal rather than just not that anything's wrong with saying I want to buy your house for cash and you use the ones that are already built. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I think that would have a lot better response from like that specific list, for example, that speaks to their actual pain and what they could be going through and facing. So compared to all of the other postcards they're probably getting that aren't focused on what they're experiencing. So let's see. Don't have the time. Oh, Michelle, that is a custom one. So that's why I wanted to highlight to you guys, like you can create these completely your own. This one right here, I don't have any text added in there, but there's just a couple that I threw together earlier where I went into create a brand new template. And all I did for these guys, like with this distress cartoon property and the one with the clock, I went on Google and I screenshotted or grabbed pictures. There's probably a better way to go about doing that. But I literally just got rid of this, which is the Google Street image by default, of course. Maybe I didn't want that and I deleted it. I could then go into insert item, image, custom upload right here. And then this is a different clock one that I grabbed earlier. So you can grab your own custom photos too from like your downloads in your computer that maybe you got from Google or something like that. So play around with it. I'd love to see what you guys kind of come up with. And if you initiate these campaigns, I'd love to also hear about what ends up working for you guys and what you see success with too. So awesome. Cool. Well, I think we're going to jump into, unless you have anything else on this page, and we can come back, of course, and grab a template for the list that we build afterwards. But are you ready to pull a list, Tyson?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna switch over.
All right. So I've got my batch account here, and let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay. So when it comes to pulling a list, we're obviously going to go to batch. We'll go down to the property search function. And I'm going to walk you guys through the exact list that I would pull right now if I were going to send out a direct mail campaign. And I'm going to talk about exactly what filters I'm going to use and why, and how I'm going to design this so I'm putting myself in the best position to get the best results, right? So let's say that I wanted to pull a list in Phoenix, Arizona. And actually, I'm going to do Maricopa County because Maricopa County is one of the best places for wholesaling real estate. You get a deal here and you'll have that thing assigned before lunch. So, first step, we search Maricopa County. And then I'm going to go in here into the filters. Now, the first thing I'm going to filter is going to be in the property characteristics, uh, the property classification. And we're going to go residential. And I'm going to look for single family. Now, could you also send out this exact same thing to duplexes, triplex, quadruplexes, condominiums, mobile homes? Absolutely, you can. But for the sake of this demonstration, we're just going to send it to single family residential real estate. The next filter I'm going to do in property characteristics is year built. So I just happen to know in Maricopa County that a lot of people are flipping properties that were built between 1970 and 2010. So the reason why I'm doing this, just quick little pro tip here, is properties that were built 1970 and newer are going to have a lot less of the major mechanical issues that a lot of flippers like to stay away from. So these properties are not going to have as many sewer issues. They're not going to have as many foundation issues. Their roofs are going to be better. The electrical is going to be better. Where a lot of flippers just want to do cosmetic stuff, right? They just want to be able to take the inside of the house, rip out the old stuff, and make the inside look pretty. And this is going to give us a really good shot to get properties that look like that. And then I'm going to cap it at 2010 because once we start to get newer than that is where you're going to get properties that have already been updated. And those are going to be a lot more difficult to get cash deals on. Can you still absolutely? Are there other lists and other strategies where you're going to want to get newer properties? For sure. But I'm looking at this from the perspective of a wholesaler. I'm saying, how can I get the most amount of wholesale deals and how can I get the most amount of people who are going to need my help? So, for property characteristics, we're going residential, single family real estate, and then year built 1970 to 2010. Then there's nothing else here that I'm going to want to mess with. MLS status, I'm going to go off market. So on market, I want no.
Real
Not
quick, you
going to
might
do.
have to go up to the property characteristics and apply it because it has something that the yeah, with them switching up, trying to do the strategy first lately in the
Oh,
system. So yeah, just a heads up.
wait. So I need to go here. Do I need to actually, what is this? 1970, 2010. Do I need to press apply? Is that what you're saying? Or,
No, there's just this thing in the system. If you guys can do the strategy, like offer on market first, for some reason the system wants you to do that first, or it like that's like the foundation. So you're good to go
oh,
from there. Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. You know what? That makes sense because typically now I'm a completely an off market guy. So when I go to BatchLeads, it's like second nature for me. I'm just immediately, oh, right there,
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay. So it makes sense. So we've got that. We've got that it's off market. So make sure you do that first, like Landry said. Then come to the property characteristics again, not on market, residential, single family, properties built between 1970 and 2010. Then I'm going to go to ownership info, and I would like to send out to individually owned properties. This is just going to niche down the list a little bit more, giving us a much higher shot of getting somebody, especially with direct mail, who's going to give you a call. Is what this does, by the way, this filter, this is going to make sure we're not sending out to properties that are owned by an LLC. If the property is owned by an LLC, they're not going to have as high of a chance of giving you a call back. Am I saying there's absolutely no owners of LLCs that will? Of course not. There's tons of deals with, company owned properties, but for this circumstance, I want to go individual to give us the best shot. And then I'm going to go to years of ownership and I'm going to do a minimum of 7 years here. And what this is going to do is give me a higher chance of being somebody who didn't just buy the property, meaning they're going to have some equity in it. And also a higher chance of being somebody who maybe um, is having issues with a property, could have, needs more repairs because somebody's been living there for a long time. Just again, put ourselves in a better shot to get a deal. And then that's going to be it for this filter. Um, Actually, I take that back because I want to change the estimated value. I do not want to be sending out my direct mail campaigns to $1 million houses. Again, I am trying to put myself in the position where I'm going to get a house that is going to be the easiest property to assign to a cash buyer. And so in Maricopa County, for instance, I know that I want to cap this out at about 600,000. Now, if you wanted a smaller list, you could move this down closer to the median home price, which is going to be somewhere around 400 grand. But I know that there are plenty of flippers here in the Valley who will, flip houses that are around 600K, go get them to be worth 800, something like that. And then there we go. This is going to give me a huge list of properties. So from here, there's kind of two schools of thought. So if you're somebody with a larger marketing budget, you've been in this for a while, you have some money to throw at this, then I'm going to be pulling a bigger list. So this is something where you could kind of grab a lot of these different filters and put them into one thing. But if you're just getting started, and you kind of want to dip your toes in and do it, get some results, and then slowly add back in and reinvest, then I would recommend to start either mailing to the inherited properties or the pre-foreclosures, or you could do both. But me personally, I would probably send a pre-foreclosures, vacant properties, inherited and expired listings, and tax defaults. But it just kind of depends on you and your budget. So let's just think about right now an inherited property. Let's build this campaign especially for this because these are going to be great people to send direct mail to, right? Think about this. Um, you know, grandma kicked the bucket, RIP, and she left you this house. And at first you're really excited about it, but then you go see the house and you remember Grammy had 17 cats and the cats have completely destroyed that place, right? All of the carpet needs to be taken and probably shuttled off to a nuclear like disposal facility. And you don't want to deal with that. But all of a sudden, you get a letter from Tyson and he wants to pay you cash for that house. You're going to be pretty excited. You're going to give him a call. So we're just going to go ahead, click the inherited properties. We've got them selected. Now we can go select all, save, add it to a list. So let's save, let's call this list our, the way I name lists. Now, whatever, you can have your own naming conventions. But for me personally, I'm going to go direct mail because that's what I'm going to be using for this. Direct mail, inherited, where it is. And then I'm going to put the date. So we're going to say, what is today? I'm
The
going to say
7th,
June
6th.
2024. Cool. Create new list. And then tag, I tag all my properties. So I'm going to want to go ahead and tag these as inherited. I already got that tag. And perfect. And then, yes, definitely going to want to exclude the properties that do not have a United States, a USPS verified address. That's going to be very important when we're sending mail. Save, and then perfect. And then again, you guys know me. I'm off market. I don't care about the agents. Um, but cool. So we would take this list, and this would be a great list to send out, especially if it's your first time or something like that, getting into direct mail. And I want to continue to say, if I am going through right now and I'm deciding that I want to send direct mail to this list, am I just sending one campaign to these inherited properties one time? Absolutely not. I'm going to pull. So look, today is June 6th. I'm going to set a reminder for next month on the 6th that is to send direct mail to the inherited properties using the exact same filters that I did last time. Okay. Does that mean I'm going to be sending direct mail to pretty much the same people? Yes. But I'm telling you, different touches and the repetitions absolutely help you. As I explained earlier, direct mail, you're going to have an exponential increase in response rates with the more times you mail the same people. Okay. Oftentimes, the first time they get it, they're like, oh, nope. But then you send it to them and they're like, oh, wait, because you sent it to them and they just got the property and they're stoked. They're like, oh, hey, I just got this free house. But then
Mm-hmm.
later in the month, they actually go see it. They see all the damage that those cats have done, and they're like, oh, crap. But then you get another mail, another reminder that, hey, somebody's out there. We got some options here. So And just a general rule of thumb, this is something that is, I think, really huge. It's a lesson that I have had to learn myself many times, is make sure, or I would really try to be able to do it for 3 months. Okay. So
Mm,
if I'm gonna make the decision right now to do this and to send this direct mail piece, I would want to be able to do it at least for this month, next month, and the month after that, because that's where you're gonna get the best results. That's how you're actually gonna be able to determine if this is working, this is good. Now, with that being said, you don't have to send the same template every single time, the same
hmm.
creative. You do want to switch that up depending on what your results are. Right now, look, if you send out one template and you're getting calls like crazy, keep doing that. But make adjustments and stuff as you see fit.
Love it.
Um, okay, Landry. So do you want me to go grab this list, or do we need to do?
Do you want me to set up the postcard, or what are you feeling? We could do it too in your account either way.
Yeah. How about you set up the postcard?
Okay, cool. Let me do this. See if you see a, oh wait, okay. Okay, cool. It's gonna let me. So important. I love what you were saying, Tyson, about just as you're breaking down the filters. The way I always think of it when building these lists is it really is like painting a picture. So anytime that you're building a list, you want to be thinking about the type of situation that the people are in that you're pulling up. Like even in the little filters of like a property being owned for 7+ years. You're imagining somebody that has owned the property for a fair amount of time that's going to have less maybe ties to that property, not care about it so much at this point. So even just the little filters that you guys might not think, or you might think they don't matter, they all kind of come back full circle to help you find the exact people in the exact situation that you're looking for. So it's really important when you guys are building those lists, and that can help you, especially if you are starting out and you are dealing with something that's going to be a little bit on the lower end of sending out these postcards, to really focus in and to know your audience essentially of who you're going to be reaching out to. So super important. Okay, cool. Let's set one up. What should we do for this inherited list? What would you do in this case um, for
If it,
that specific list?
yeah, so if it's me in Maricopa County, I want to go with one of these simpler type postcards. So I'm gonna
Okay,
either go
cool.
with honestly, that final notice one looks great. That urgent notice one of these bright yellow ones, I really like.
Okay, cool. Let's do this one.
Yeah,
Awesome.
this right here is gold. I love this.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and you guys can, like with what Tyson was saying, like you could start out with something like this, and then maybe on month two, you like have the picture, and maybe it reminds them of like, oh my gosh, that house is a headache when they get
Mhm.
that postcard. So, what would you change the verbiage for something like
No.
this, or just leave
So
it?
just to talk about the copy that's on this creative here, this is excellent for a lot of reasons. So number one, final notice at the top. Are you going to get some people who are calling you kind of mad about that? You absolutely will. But that's not a problem, because that is going to get people to look. And that's the most important thing. We need people to look at our advertisements. So that's great. It's a critical that we speak to you about your property at the address. We have a cash offer for your property and as is condition. We're getting right to the point. People know exactly what it is we want. And then the expiration date is
Mm,
massive too. I love that so much because, when it comes to advertising, creating urgency is huge. That's what's going to get people to actually pull out their phone and call the number on there and see what's going on. So I love that, having the expiration date on there. Very cool. And then this just has really good elements because it's talking all about, especially on the back here, I pay cash. If you have an interest in selling fast, as is. These are really important words to show people like, okay, this is going to be easy. I'm not going to have to deal with a bunch of things. It's reducing the amount of friction that your customer has to take from making the step before they give you a call. So
yeah.
I really like this.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. And Naveed, if you were like, okay, I want to change the verbiage, like with what you're saying, like final chance, absolutely. Remember that you guys can change anything that you want to in here. So if you're like, you know what, I want to switch that up, or I don't really like that color, or whatever it is, that's what's cool and gets missed with some of these, is that you guys can, like for example, if you were an agent and you saw the one that's like, I want to buy your house for cash, and you're like, I definitely don't want to do that, then you guys can wipe these clean and make it your own. So take the time to really click around and utilize the different tools that you guys now have. This is one of our older previous ones. So you guys can see there's not as many of those options on some of the newer ones I was showing you guys. So just pay attention to that. But still, you have a ton of customizable options. So let's stick with this and maybe we'll go over another one, Tyson, just so that we have something set up and we can set up like a drip campaign for it. Would you do something different for like month 2, month 3?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would send
Okay.
this, and then I would definitely try a Google Street View. And one thing I'm going to tell you funny about Google Street Views is you're going to get people that are going to call you up and they're going to say, Tyson, how'd you get that picture of my house? And they're going to say that with absolute seriousness. Okay. And then you're going to have to explain to them that that is a Google Street View image.
But
And either
everybody
way,
has their
they
house.
got you a call. Your foot's in the door. So we love that. But yeah, a Google Street View one, something like is that one right there? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so kind of something, this one, if you have any, this is one of the ones that you guys have just in your account already too. Like if you have any interest in selling fast as is with zero commissions, closing costs, I'd like to buy it, something like that.
Yeah, and then show them again, would you, Landry, of how to actually grab the image source and get it so it's the street view?
Yeah, so if you guys are on the old one, remember just pay attention to what you guys are looking at because you might see the image source at the top if you're looking at some of the newer options. But for the older ones, there's this tiny little button that says image source. And there's a Google Street image, which a lot of these are on by default already. And just an FYI, of course, we don't, because you haven't sent out this campaign and this is just where you guys are creating the templates. This, of course, is not going to be the picture that gets sent out to people. It will coordinate with their proper address. So even if you send it out to, 2,000 people, the system takes care of that for you on the back end with that coordinating property address, which is nice. It sends to the mailing address of the property owner, but it is talking about the property address that you're sending it to, which is nice. So you guys don't have to worry about that too. If you wondered about what happens when it's like a vacant list, it's going to send to where they live and where they receive mail, which is nice. So just make sure you guys have that Google Street image applied and it takes care of the rest for you, which is nice. So let's see. Naveed says, is it quite legal to use a property image from Google Street without the user's
Yes.
permission? Yes. I know that people can like blur their image. They can like go to Google and have you ever seen that? Like if you've like virtually driven for dollars or whatever, but I mean, it's public info, for my knowledge. People can request to like blur that out, but for the most part, should be good. Okay, awesome. Cool. We'll stick with this one. I'm just going to name this inherited, if I can spell today. Here we go. Okay, let's pick one more and then we can set these up in like a drip campaign for you guys and show you how that works in the tracking events. What is another one that you would choose out of here? Let's wait for this to load actually. Okay,
Yeah, and I
cool.
just want to say, guys, this drip campaign feature is so cool. In the past, I've had such a pain trying to make sure that I'm setting these out at the right time and they're going out to the same people. So the fact that you can just set this up in here is awesome. Um, as far as the next one, I mean, a lot of these are going to work. They're great. Honestly, any of them. I think
Let's do
that,
this one maybe.
yeah, that's great.
Cool. And then once again, you guys would just come in here and make it your own. With the older versions, just watch out for these. You guys have like your positioning and those different edit options. They're just a lot smaller and more limited on some of those older ones. So just watch out for those things. The system has a lot of these things already filled out for you, like call me today phone number. It's going to insert your phone number from your signature that you guys should set up beforehand. I don't think it'll even let you create templates without setting that up first. This guy right here, like what I was talking about earlier. But down in like right here, how it has the address, this is just an example address. But on all of these, it's going to say like, hey, I'm looking at your property at 123 Main Street, and it will match those up. There's these things called insert fields in here. So if you wanted to say, like, let's say that I want to buy your house right there, and I want to say hi space insert field and put their name, that's what those guys are. So it helps you insert like, hey, I want to pop in their address right here. And the whole reason you would do that, like if you're wondering why don't I just type it out, is because you're probably going to send it out to hundreds of people. And that would mean you would have to make hundreds of separate postcards. So the insert fields, the whole point is so that you can send it out to a ton of people and the system takes care of updating that coordinating information like their name, your phone number that you have in your signature, all that good stuff. So watch out for those little things and let's start a campaign. Wait for this. Basically, how it will work is that, remember, set this stuff up first because you guys don't want to go through like pulling the list and you're ready to send it out and then you forgot you need to set up your templates. I mean, they'll stay the same though. So it's if you have templates that you want to use over and over again, that you don't have to do it again unless you want to make changes for any reason. So do this stuff first if you guys are going to give it a try, and then go pull your list or property information you already have or addresses you already have in my list. Then you can use those too. But I'm going to go to my list. This is, in my opinion, the best place to send the list because you guys have the ability to filter. You have the ability to add a quick little tag to make sure, like, for example, with Tyson's list, how he put direct mail. If you guys aren't doing that when you're pulling your list in, you still have the opportunity to do it in my list and like put a quick tag. It's going to be so beneficial because if you are looking at that list, in a couple weeks and you're like, did I reach out to this list already? I don't know if I sent them postcards already. If you are properly organizing your data, you will thank yourself so much in the future. You'll save yourself a ton of money and you will save yourself a ton of time and not waste it. So in my list, it's as simple as grabbing your properties. I can show you guys other things too, but just to show you how simple the process is, let's go and find my inherited properties. I think I have a inherited list in here right now. Cool. Okay, so I have around 2,000 inherited properties in here right now. I'm just going to grab a few of them, but filter out your list, your tags, or use your quick filters because the quick filters keep your data up to date and refreshing that for you guys, or use any of your filters, list stack if you want to, whatever you want to do. But after you have your properties pulled up that you want, then I'm just going to let's just grab like 100 of these for a good group. Click actions. So all we're doing is selecting, clicking actions, and then you have it right here. The quick tip though, like what I was just talking about, the tagging, tag them first that you're about to send them direct mail. It will make a really, really big difference on those properties later on. So I'm just going to add a quick tag that I'm going to send them direct mail, unless you guys, are saving your list that way beforehand, which is a good idea too. Let's do, I already have one, but you guys can create a tag, mark it with mail, something to let you know, and something that you can filter out later to exclude all of those people that you sent mail. So mark them first if you want to, just will help you a ton in the future. And then you can go over to initiate the campaign. So add to campaign, direct mail, and then you're going to name it. So I'm going to do inherited, remove any duplicate mailing addresses, just in case if there's like any properties that are owned by the same person, you don't want that same person like getting 4 different postcards on the same day. You want to space them out like Tyson's talking about. Click the blue arrow, and then this is where you guys can set up which templates. So we set up 3 different ones earlier, like here's this final notice one. We could say this is for day 1. For adding a new mailer, this is where you guys can set up a drip campaign. So maybe you said like one over the course of 3 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So we'll do day 30 and then we'll grab, what was that other one that we did? This one right here. And then one more. We'll do day 60. And grab this guy, one of these, whatever. Oh yeah, this one that I said hi on and didn't finish editing. But make sure you guys finish editing your postcards, of course, that it says the proper thing and what you want to say to those property owners. But after you guys have that outlined, you're going to move forward. Gives you a breakdown of what that's going to cost. And you can see that it's going to send out in total 300 for me, which is why that cost is up there, because it's sending it out to 100 people 3 times. So after you do that, I'll show you guys the tracking events, which are really cool. But you're going to create the campaign. And then it's going to automatically take you to, we now updated this too. So it's easier for you guys to find this little icon that's a mailbox now. But I can go to that inherited campaign I just started. There's the little 3 dots. Go and view it. And all of this is built into your account. So you guys can see what's currently in progress, what eventually is going to be broken down to what has been delivered, if anything's been returned, where your mail has been distributed. And then it will eventually load those recipients as well individually, all of the people that are in your campaign. So all of this is built into everybody's account. Of course, you're paying for the postcards through your wallet balance is where that's coming from, by the way. But all of this is processed on the back end, and then all of your recipients will receive physical postcards and letters in their hands, which is pretty cool. So let's see here. And while I'm grabbing these, what do you typically like to track, Tyson? Like when you are getting or when you've initiated a campaign and you're waiting for people to give you a call, are you asking them like, "Oh, what postcard did you receive?" Like how are you figuring out like what did they get, what's working, what's not, things like that.
Yeah,
Kind of while you pull
absolutely.
these up.
So, I can kind of walk you guys through my process of when an inbound call comes in from direct mail. And I want to say that it's also very important for me. I always set up like call forwarding numbers. So the number I have on here, I'm going to make sure that it forwards to my cell phone. And I mean, just to give you guys exactly how I do it, it rings all of my salespeople like
Mm,
4 times. And if they don't answer within 4 rings, it rings their boss, and if he doesn't answer after 6 rings, it rings me. And if it rings me, then there are problems
yeah.
because it is so important that you answer these calls when they come in. But once they come in, right? Hey, I'm going to say, hey, thank you for calling We Buy Homes Cash. This is Tyson. How can I help you today? Right? You can say, hey, thank you for calling Andy, home buyers, or whatever it is you are. You can just say, hey, it's Tyson, whatever. How can I help you today? Like, hey, I received something in the mail, right? About you wanting to buy my property. I'm definitely gonna ask them, oh, okay, yeah, what did that look like? Like, oh, hey, it says here final notice. Like, you have a cash offer for me? And then I'm moving right into what I'm normally do. It's like, hey, I absolutely do. Just need to take 5 or 10 minutes to ask you some questions about the property so we can get our exact offer for you. Is now a good time, right? And then we're just moving into our regular sales process. But very important. I cannot stress enough how important it is to answer these calls when they
Mm,
come in, right? Because that moment when they've decided to call you, that is lightning in a bottle, okay? And we do not let that go to waste, right? We need to strike while the iron is hot. When they have made that decision and to go down that road, we need to make sure that we take them as far down that road as we possibly can in that moment.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that it probably only lasts for so long until it kind of dies. You know, if you don't answer, now they've thought about it and they're like, what am I doing? Like,
Well,
why
no,
am
I mean
I,
they could do
you
that, but
know?
also then there's so many other things that could happen. They could think, oh, I wonder how many other people want to do this, and then they go to the internet and they type in "sell my house fast," and then they're getting my ad and everybody else's ad, and then they're calling them, right? Where once somebody makes the decision, it can be kind of just a race to who's first. And this is honestly with all forms of marketing. I just think it's very important. Like if that's one thing you can do, that when your phone rings, you answer it, that will right there will make you so much more money.
Yes, set you apart from the
Absolutely.
rest. Let's see here. Anything else that's kind of coming to mind, Tyson, with like sending out these postcards? Anything coming to mind with this? We can jump into Q&A if not, but anything else on that?
One thing I will say is, I don't expect to send out, 100 postcards and to get 100 calls in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work like that. Not every single person is going to call you, especially not on the first time. But as I've said before, the more you do I mean, just direct mail is one of those things that the more you put into it, the more you get back. And I'm telling you this because I remember my first direct mail campaign. I sent it out and I was so excited. And I sent out 5,000 mailers my first time. And I'm so excited. And all of a sudden, I get the notification, okay, they've been delivered. And I'm like, all right, the calls are coming in. And then they didn't. And then the next day, and they didn't, and they didn't. And then 3 weeks later, we got like 5 calls that day, but all of them were just like nothing. But then
Mm.
the next week, it's like way more calls, and we got a deal off of it right then and there. And then the next month we sent it out. It was like okay, then we started getting calls in quicker, and just week by week, it just started getting better and better and better and better. So don't lose hope if all of a sudden you see they're delivered and you haven't gotten any calls yet.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what I've heard from people that are big into direct mail is it's definitely you have to gain traction and you can't just send out one campaign and
Yeah.
be done with it and assume that it doesn't work. It does if you're continuing to try different things, you're sending enough mail, and sending it to the right people as well, making
Absolutely.
sure that you have the good list. So, which you guys can all, of course, do in batch. Let's see here. So I know we're getting near the end of the hour. I'm going to address some of your guys' questions here, make sure we get them all answered. Let's see where we're at. Hopefully that answered it earlier, Tyler, when you were asking about the Google Street image, like how that specifically works with the system taking care of it. I saw that question, but let me know if we didn't answer that clear enough a little bit later in the live. Google Street. Michelle, with that urgent notice, you won't be able to. You guys will notice if you're wondering, like, dang, I want to use this postcard, but I want the picture on there too. Some of them don't allow it. Like, and that's one of the reasons, like, because a lot of these are our older ones at the bottom. And that's one of the reasons we brought to you guys the creating your own template. So if you want to do something like this, where you're like, I really like this final notice, but it's a bummer that I can't add a picture to it, you guys can just recreate it in the create new template. Don't be afraid to like build it from scratch because it's so easy. Like that final notice one, I could just come in here, find that really bright yellow color kind of thing, and I could add a picture right here and say final notice or final chance kind of thing. So if you guys see something in here that you can't completely do, or I've even gone on Google like postcard ideas and you want to do something different, there's a lot of things that you guys can leverage and make your own in here. So take your guys' time with the new updates, and you can message me in the Slack community as well. And I'd be happy to help and take a look into your account too. So if you guys like something, make it your own with the new custom ones since you guys have them now. What else do we have here? I had a question earlier I think would be good for you, Tyson, on I think it might have been answered already. I think they were asking like how many mailers to send out, so maybe never mind.
But when it comes to
Okay.
mailers and how many you should send out, I mean, really, it's here's the thing, direct mail works. Like it's like anything. Like the more you can send out, the better your results are going to be. But I would definitely want to send out, I would say for me, I would say to start out with somewhere like, between like, 300 minimum a month, something like that. If you're doing less than that, I just don't think you're going to get the results as quick as possible, but I
Mm.
could be wrong there.
No, that's a good tip. That's really good to start out with.
Um, this is interesting. A couple of people asking, is it effective to cold call and direct mail the same list? Absolutely. We want to be as omnipresent to our potential customers as possible, right? My idea is I want anybody who wants to sell their house, I want them to see me everywhere. They open up TikTok, there's my
Mm.
face. I've got somebody from my company giving them a call. They're getting letters from me in the mail. They're seeing my ads on Facebook. I want to be everywhere. So yes, the more efforts you can put, whether it's cold calling and sending direct mail, if you're sending text, whatever, you definitely want to do everything you possibly can to get in front of these people.
Great questions, guys. And Andy, by the way, if anybody's wondering, because I didn't go into detail with this signature, I only really just talked about like you guys will see it and you have to do it first. If you guys are wondering, like, where do I put my return address? Where do I put my phone number? And like how I was talking about auto filling it and everything with the insert fields, you guys will see, like, if you haven't set this up before and you're like, cool, I'm going to go check out the templates, the system, I believe it should make you and kick you over to signatures. You have to tell the system your info first. So when you guys go to create a signature, this is just one I already have filled out. This is where you're going to add your return address. And it's not something that here on Batch's side that we have like an address to provide or anything. You guys do have to enter a valid address, and it's totally understandable that you might not want to put like your physical where you live address. What I hear a lot of people doing is something I haven't looked into it a ton, so I don't know a lot about it. Maybe you do, Tyson, but about like a virtual address or even like a PO box. But I don't know. Do you know much
That's
about
what I mean.
virtual
That's what I
addresses?
do. I just have a PO box at a UPS
Perfect.
store. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you guys have to set this up first. So set up like all of your return info, save it, and then you guys can jump into that. So hopefully that helps, Andy. And then Jeff, when we add our own custom postcards, will we see the thumbnail image? Yes, you will. So you can see right here on my templates, like this is a custom one that I did with that cartoon image. This is another custom one that I did, just a couple that I threw together so you guys could see what it looks like. So yes, the thumbnail will update. Same thing with when you're creating the campaign, you'll see those updated thumbnails so you guys can make sure that you're grabbing the correct one. And then John asked, can you choose a specific day for the drip campaign? like day 141. Let's double check. I don't think you can do like 141 specifically, just like that. So let me double check in here really quick. Create a campaign. Mike, seriously? There we go. Okay, cool. Oh, custom. Yes. If you want it to be specific, like 141 on here instead, then you guys can do that too. And it will show you for when you're about to send it out. We're like planning this, the send date and the expected delivery date too. So to answer your question, John, yes, you can. And then Andy says, can you set it up so I can mail to the owner every month? Yes, absolutely. Hopefully, we answered that as well, Andy. I don't know if that was before or after we went into this section, but if it was every single month, like let's do day one, day 30 kind of deal, the next one, day 60, like you guys can keep pushing that forward and keep continuing on if you want to. So you could make these drip campaigns as long as you guys want. So, absolutely. And oh, Natalia asked earlier, do you have a response rate approximate?
It's going to completely depend market to market. Yeah, I mean I've heard of people getting, 5% response rates, which is like insane. And I mean, I've gotten 0.5% of response rate before. It completely depends on the market, what creative you're sending. I wish I had a better answer for you on that exactly of what you should be shooting for, but I've just seen it all over the place.
Yeah, I think it'll take some trial and error depending on your list, depending on how many. I think there's a lot of factors for sure.
Definitely.
Michelle, I pulled the tired landlord list, but the owner of the record lives at the subject property. Then perfect. They will just receive it there. Like they'll be like, oh, I'm sitting in my house right now. And this is a picture of my house currently. So just wherever they're receiving mail, Michelle is where they'll get that. And if they do happen to live there, then perfect. You don't have to worry about that. Does it charge unscheduled? Steve, for me, within my account, it's been when it actually sends out. I'll double check for you with actually initiating because for me within my account, I'm usually canceling them. But I believe when the postcards actually get sent is when you guys are getting charged for that. But it could be right away when it's initiated. So I'll double check that for you, Steve. If you guys are not in the community, by the way, I'll grab the link for that you guys should get into where you can send me a message if you need additional support. And if you want to get connected with all of these amazing people within the chat that we've had connecting today, I'm going to grab the link, by the way, for that. But I'll check for you, Steve. Here is this link. If you guys want to get into the community, it's just like a free Slack messaging platform. It's really similar to Discord. If you guys are familiar, most of you guys are in there already, but if you aren't, you should get in there. Um, let's see. John says, do you pay for the entire drip camp? Okay, John, you had the same question. I'm going to double check for you guys. I want to say that it's right up front, but I can't say from experience because I don't usually initiate the full campaign, so I don't want to lie to you. So I'll get you the full answer, send it to you in the community. Cool. Awesome. Well, we are right at the end of the hour. Hopefully I think we answered all of the questions in here, or at least we talked about your guys' questions later. If we didn't specifically address your name, I believe we talked about these topics. But if not, message me in the community. I do care and want to make sure that you guys are feeling confident about using the tool. It's a really, really amazing group of features that we brought in here that I'm excited to hear your guys' feedback on. Really appreciate your time, Tyson. Is there anything else that you want to bring up before we hop
Yeah,
off today?
I do want to say for anybody who wasn't here in the beginning, I cannot stress enough how great of a time it is to get started in direct mail. I was saying earlier how if you look everywhere online, every single YouTube video, it seems like people are just talking about digital marketing. And I can see that is where people are flocking to because digital marketing prices have gone way up, right? Google PPC, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, TikTok ads, all of them have seen increases in prices, and it's getting just so much more competitive. And while people are moving over there, the people who have been staying in direct mail are enjoying prices that have not gone up and just higher response rates because it's so much less competitive. So I would say right now is a fantastic time to get started sending direct mail, especially since Batch came out and made it so easy. I mean, I remember the days of having to work with different mail houses and schedule all the different things, and it was a massive headache. And now that they have this, where it's so easy to come in, grab templates, create your own if you'd like, and get them scheduled on Trip Campaign so they go out without you. You know, this whole thing is going to take you less than 20 minutes. And you're going to see some serious returns for it. So I highly recommend that you guys get started. Make sure you guys go join that Slack channel so you guys can get help if you need it. And then you guys are going to have to let us know once you start closing these deals from it.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And I'll send you all the recording a little bit later today. Thank you guys.
If you guys like real estate content like this, I'm all over BatchTV, just like this video right here. So make sure to go watch it, give this video a like, and make sure you're subscribed.